The manufacturer of the powerful painkiller Oxycontin will plead guilty to 3 federal criminal charges, and this tops our news making national headlines this morning. NBC News has confirmed Purdue Pharma will plead guilty to charges including conspiracy to defraud the United States and violating federal anti-kickback laws. The Associated Press reports that the guilty plea is part of a settlement totaling more than $8 billion. Oxycontin is blamed for sparking the opioid epidemic in the United States, an addiction crisis linked to more than 470,000 deaths in the last 2 decades. The deal does not release any of the Sacklers who own the company from criminal liability, and a criminal investigation is ongoing.
The search for victims of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre has unearthed at least 10 bodies in an unmarked mass grave. The discovery was made on the 3rd day of the second test excavations at the Oakland Cemetery in Tulsa. Researchers said that they found the first set of human remains on day 2, noting the discovery provided more understanding on where more remains could be located. The remains were buried 3 feet below the surface in wooden coffins. A state archaeologist said the skeletal remains were not in good shape and would not be removed until a further examination could be made. Experts will help determine if the remains were from the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, in part by looking for signs of trauma. The investigation is expected to last a week, but could be extended based on what researchers find.
Lawyers appointed by a federal judge to identify the families who were separated at the southern border say they haven't found the parents of some 545 children still in the United States. About 2/3 of those parents were deported to Central America, according to a filing by the American Civil Liberties Union. The Trump administration instituted a zero-tolerance policy in 2018 that separated migrant children from their parents at the border. The administration later confirmed they'd been separating children from their parents starting in 2017 under a pilot program being used at some spots along the border.
We have new disturbing information this morning about the presidential election. U.S. intelligence confirms that Iran and Russia are trying to meddle in the election and influence your vote. Tracy Potts has the overnight developments, plus preparations for tonight's final presidential debate.
Good evening. The president has...
Intelligence chiefs briefed Congress today on the new development that Iran and Russia obtained voter information and that Iran was behind emails to Florida voters urging them to switch parties and vote Republican.
These actions are desperate attempts by desperate adversaries.
We are not going to tolerate foreign interference in our elections. You should be confident that your vote counts.
Iran denied the allegations, calling them absurd. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called them disturbing.
If people don't believe the elections are fair, that's the beginning of the end of this democracy.
Separately, a cybersecurity firm says hackers are selling public voter registration data for 186 million Americans. The news coming on the eve of the final presidential debate.
Iran doesn't want to let me win. China doesn't want to let me win.
President Trump previewing tonight's attack on Joe Biden.
If Biden wins, China will own the United States. Will own it.
The New York Times reports President Trump had a secret Chinese bank account.
Can you imagine if I had a secret Chinese bank account when I was running for re-election? You think Fox News might have been a little concerned about that? They would have called me Beijing Barry.
President Obama hitting the campaign trail for Joe Biden in Pennsylvania and again this weekend in Florida. Tracy Potts, NBC News.